Why, he was so called as truly as I myself bore the appellation of Gaspar Caderousse. But tell me, I pray, what has become of poor Edmund? Did you know him? Is he alive and at liberty? Is he prosperous and happy? He died a more wretched, hopeless, heartbroken prisoner than the felons who pay the penalty of their crimes at the galleys of Toulon. A deadly pallor followed the flush on the countenance of Caderousse, who turned away, and the priest saw him wiping the tears from his eyes with the corner of the red handkerchief twisted round his head. Poor fellow, murmured Caderousse. Well, there, sir, is another proof that good people are never rewarded on this earth, and that none but the wicked prosper. Ah, continued Caderousse, speaking in the highly colored language of the South, the world grows worse and worse. Why does not God, if he really hates the wicked, as he is said to do, send down brimstone and fire, and consume them altogether? You speak as though you had loved this young Dantes, observed the Abbé, without taking any notice of his companion's vehemence. And so I did, replied Caderousse, though once, I confess, I envied him his good fortune. But I swear to you, sir, I swear to you, by everything a man holds dear, I have, since then, deeply and sincerely lamented his unhappy fate. There was a brief silence, during which the fixed, searching eye of the Abbé was employed in scrutinizing the agitated features of the innkeeper. You knew the poor lad, then? Continued Caderousse. I was called to see him on his dying bed, that I might administer to him the consolations of religion. And of what did he die? Asked Caderousse in a choking voice. Of what, think you, do young and strong men die in prison, when they have scarcely numbered their 30th year, unless it be of imprisonment? Caderousse wiped away the large beads of perspiration that gathered on his brow. But the strangest part of the story is, resumed the Abbé, that Dantes, even in his dying moments, swore by his crucified Redeemer, that he was utterly ignorant of the cause of his detention. And so he was, murmured Caderousse. How should he have been otherwise? Ah, sir, the poor fellow told you the truth. and for that reason, he besought me to try and clear up a mystery he had never been able to penetrate, and to clear his memory should any foul spot or stain have fallen on it. And here the look of the abbe, becoming more and more fixed, seemed to rest with ill-concealed satisfaction on the gloomy depression which was rapidly spreading over the countenance of Caderousse. A rich Englishman, continued the abbe, who had been his companion in misfortune, but had been released from prison during the Second Restoration, was possessed of a diamond of immense value. This jewel he bestowed on Dantes upon himself quitting the prison, as a mark of his gratitude for the kindness and brotherly care with which Dantes had nursed him in a severe illness he underwent during his confinement. Instead of employing this diamond in attempting to bribe his jailers, who might only have taken it and then betrayed him to the governor, Dantes carefully preserved it, that in the event of his getting out of prison he might have wherewithal to live, for the sale of such a diamond would have quite sufficed to make his fortune. Then, I suppose, asked Caderousse, with eager, glowing looks, that it was a stone of immense value? Why, everything is relative, answered the abbe. To one in Edmond's position the diamond certainly was of great value. It was estimated at 50,000 francs. Bless me! Exclaimed Caderousse, 50,000 francs. Surely the diamond was as large as a nut to be worth all that. No, replied the abbe, it was not of such a size as that, but you shall judge for yourself. I have it with me. The sharp gaze of Caderousse was instantly directed towards the priest's garments, as though hoping to discover the location of the treasure. Calmly drawing forth from his pocket a small box covered with black shagreen, the abbe opened it, and displayed to the dazzled eyes of Caderousse the sparkling jewel it contained, set in a ring of admirable workmanship. And that diamond, cried Caderousse, almost breathless with eager admiration, you say, is worth 50,000 francs? It is, without the setting, which is also valuable, replied the abbe, as he closed the box, and returned it to his pocket, while its brilliant hue seemed still to dance before the eyes of the fascinated innkeeper. But how comes the diamond in your possession, sir? Did Edmond make you his heir? No, merely his testamentary executor. I once possessed 4 dear and faithful friends, besides the maiden to whom I was betrothed, he said, and I feel convinced they have all unfeignedly grieved over my loss. The name of one of the 4 friends is Caderousse. The innkeeper shivered. Another of the number, continued the abbe, without seeming to notice the emotion of Caderousse, is called Danglars, and the third, in spite of being my rival, entertained a very sincere affection for me. A fiendish smile played over the features of Caderousse, who was about to break in upon the abbe's speech, when the latter, waving his hand, said, "Allow me to finish first, and then if you have any observations to make, you can do so afterwards." The third of my friends, although my rival, was much attached to me. His name was Fernand. That of my betrothed was, stay, continued the abbe, I have forgotten what he called her. Mercedes, said Caderousse eagerly. True, said the abbe, with a stifled sigh, Mercedes it was. Go on, urged Caderousse. Bring me a carafe of water, said the abbe. Caderousse quickly performed the stranger's bidding, and after pouring some into a glass, and slowly swallowing its contents, the abbe, resuming his usual placidity of manner, said, as he placed his empty glass on the table, "Where did we leave off?" The name of Edmond's betrothed was Mercedes. To be sure. You will go to Marseille, said Dantes, for you understand, I repeat his words just as he uttered them. Do you understand? Perfectly. You will sell this diamond, you will divide the money into 5 equal parts, and give an equal portion to these good friends, the only persons who have loved me upon earth. But why into 5 parts? Asked Caderousse, you only mentioned 4 persons. Because the 5th is dead, as I hear. The 5th sharer in Edmond's bequest was his own father. Too true, ejaculated Caderousse, almost suffocated by the contending passions which assailed him. The poor old man did die. I learned so much at Marseille, replied the abbe, making a strong effort to appear indifferent, but from the length of time that has elapsed since the death of the elder Dantes, I was unable to obtain any particulars of his end. Can you enlighten me on that point? I do not know who could if I could not, said Caderousse. Why, I lived almost on the same floor with the poor old man. Ah, yes, about a year after the disappearance of his son the poor old man died. Of what did he die? Why, the doctors called his complaint gastroenteritis, I believe. His acquaintances say he died of grief, but I, who saw him in his dying moments, I say he died of. Caderousse paused. Of what? Asked the priest, anxiously and eagerly. Why, of downright starvation. Starvation! Exclaimed the abbé, springing from his seat. Why, the vilest animals are not suffered to die by such a death as that. The very dogs that wander houseless and homeless in the streets find some pitying hand to cast them a mouthful of bread, and that a man, a Christian, should be allowed to perish of hunger in the midst of other men who call themselves Christians, is too horrible for belief.